classic. Oh no, it's an emulator. Whatever. You don't fucking care. Yeah, sound effects. So I'm still on my Gundam bullshit. I was given vivid, like, PTSD flashbacks to the good old days, quote-unquote, of the fucking PS2. God damn, was the PS2 an amazing console.
A half-century has passed since Earth began moving its burgeoning population into gigantic orbiting space colonies. It is the year 0079 of the Universal Century. The cluster of colonies furthest from the Earth, Side 3, proclaimed itself the Principality of Zeon and launched a war of independence against the Earth Federation. Initial fighting lasted over 1 month, and half the human population was lost. People were horrified by the atrocities that had been committed in the name of independence.
Propaganda.
After 8 months had passed and they were at a stalemate, one boy had a fateful encounter with a mobile suit. Who will survive?
Who will survive, or will the dinosaurs win this time? Yeah, that shit is so fucking dope. It's like an opening of an episode of the show. It's so good. It, like, gets you right into it. Mobile Suit Gundam, the Earth Federation versus the Principality of Zeon Deluxe. Are you sure that title's long enough, sir? Are you sure you don't want that to, Are you sure you don't want that to be a little bit more? Or, no. So, what it omitted, I love that line of, like, people were horrified by the atrocities committed in the name of independence. Yeah, the Zeon were the only ones committing atrocities, quote, in the name of independence. Yeah, that's not propaganda at all. I mean, look, I'm not saying that they didn't commit atrocities. They definitely crashed a fucking space station into the planet Earth, killing hundreds of fucking billions of people. And also there was like I think like a germ warfare, like dirty bomb situation that happened at one point. I'm always like trying to find population counts for the Universal Century. I think the rough estimate we have is there's 13 billion humans. And over the course of the 1 year war, which is what the war in Mobile Suit Gundam is called, that gets cut in half. Which is like an obscene... That's like more than the population of the planet Earth right now got wiped the fuck out in 1 year during this, like, globe-spanning, spacefaring war that went down. That's, like, fucking ridiculous. Oh no, that took too long. Shoo! So, this game is fucking dope as hell. So, I remember, here's the funny thing, is I remember this game being worse than it actually is. And how often does that happen? I remember, in my childhood memory, this game not being as good as it is. I remember not liking it as much. How often does that fucking happen? Because I remember there were a shit ton of fucking, what do you call it? PS2.
May the glory of victory be yours.
A shit ton of PS2 Gundam games. And in particular, there was, the ones that I played were Journey to Jaburo and this. And I remember liking Journey to Jaburo more.
Whether or not I actually have what it takes to pilot this mobile suit like that.
Because Journey to Jaburo was an adaptation of the anime. Like, you were playing as Amuro and running
Let's
around
just see. Let's
playing...
test the reaction time of your brand new mobile suit.
Playing the story mode of the episodes of the anime. Like, every level was like an episode of the show. And as a kid, I was like, that's better. I like that. I want to play the anime. I want to play the cartoon. What is this? Right? Oh, I'm still gonna get distracted just having a fun time playing this video game. And I remember not liking this game as much because I went, well, it's not I'm not playing as Amuro. I'm not playing as the show. I'm not playing the story of the show, really. It's different. And I remember the controls being clunky, which is funny because the controls in Journey to Jaburo are fucking awful. Like, they're not so obscenely bad. Like, I think they work for, like, considering the time period they came out and what they are. Die. Die. Slow. This music is a trip.
Damn!
Ah, fuck, I died somehow.
What? That Federation mobile suit is a monster.
What?
Amateurs. Then die.
Rick Dawn.
We've won!
Like, I do think Journey to Jaburo has controls that suit what it is.
Please return.
But, like, man, is it hard to go back and play that and be like, oh, this is a piece of shit. But I liked it more as a kid, and I remember playing this, and I didn't like it as much. Because I remember going, oh, why isn't it the show? And I remember the controls being clunky and it not being fun to play. Which is hilarious.
Let's just see. Let's test the reaction time.
Because I play it now, and I'm like, this is great. Like, my perception is totally different. It's really funny. This doesn't control as badly as I remember it controlling. How often does that fucking happen, right? When's the last time you can remember remembering a game being bad and then playing it again later, and oh, it's not as bad as I remember it being? Usually it's the other way around. You play a game as a kid and you remember it being great, and you play it again, it's like, ooh, my standards are different now compared to when I played this for the first time.
Amateurs. That's it.
I mean, you can see the controls are very clunky, even just like from what's happening on the screen. I think you can kind of tell that, like, ooh, this is some early PS2 change. Like, look at this camera just Gundam. Look at this camera just losing its fucking mind trying to, like, figure out what the hell is going on. Slow. And, like, there's... You can't see it just from what's on the screen, but there is no camera control at all. If you touch the right stick, nothing happens. Oh, fuck. Like, the right stick does absolutely fucking nothing. Die already. There we go.
We've won!
The right stick does absolutely nothing. It's a, like, one-stick game. You press the circle button to change what your camera's locking onto. And otherwise, there's no way to actually, like, free aim or anything like that. So it's very rough. But I don't know, I guess my tolerance has gone up, or my standards have gone down, or something like that.
Attacking the enemy in satellite orbit. Destroy the enemy mobile suit unit.
Let's just see. Let's test the reaction time of your brand new mobile suit.
So the thing is, this game does kind of follow the story mode of the show if you play it the correct way. Because at the beginning you've got arcade mode and campaign mode and versus mode. Arcade mode is just linear mission after mission after mission. And if you look at this and are like, oh, I'm picking what stage I want to fight in, it gives you the impression that arcade mode is like an instant action kind of thing, but it's not. It's the story mode, and you go through from Side 7 as the first mission it's the first episode, and you go through up to the very end of the war and the end of the show. And this is just like, oh, I want to skip a level. Oh, I want to skip a level to outside Jaburo, which is like halfway through the show. I want to skip a level to near the end when Lala and the new type bullshit starts being a huge thing. So if you play it from the beginning inside Side 7, and if you choose the name of Amuro and pick Gundam as the mobile suit you want to pilot, you're just playing the show. And that's the other thing is, all these default names, you noticed it when I was playing as Char, there's unique dialogue and cutscene animation, like the little 2D animation of those characters talking, depending on which name you pick. So I'm gonna do Amuro, but then I'm gonna do it with another character, and you'll see it's different depending on who you choose. I'm gonna go beam rifle.
Amuro launching!
So it is a little twisted in the way it has to adapt it.
Enemy unit has infiltrated Side 7. Destroy the enemy mobile suit.
Because you have this intro cutscene of Gundam launching.
Open the hatch. Launch mobile suit.
Amuro, you can do it!
And obviously that's not what happened in the show, but just you wait, because we're gonna get to something else that happens later.
Amuro, you can do it!
But this is, Amuro in the Gundam, running around on Side 7, shooting Zaku's. That's what happens in the show.
Behind you! There it is!
Oh man, Gundam control's so fucking good in this game, it's utterly ridiculous. And I really like this gameplay. I really like the way this game controls. I think it suits, like, big mobile suit combat. Like, Journey to Jaburo controls really fucking bad, but I do think it works for the kind of game that it is, because it's like, yeah, I think controlling a Gundam should be kind of a pain in the ass. It should be, like, really clunky. I don't like those, like the Gundam Breaker or even Dynasty Warriors, let alone the Gundam Versus games, where you're zipping around like a fucking Dragon Ball Z anime character in these massive fucking robots. That works maybe for like G Gundam, but for like
Detected by the enemy
0079 and classic Gundam,
Destroy enemy mobile suit units. Be careful, Amuro.
I think having that jank does contribute to the feeling of what it would be like to pilot a mobile suit. So yeah, like, this fight is basically episode 3 of the show. More or less. Like, the events are the same. Yeah, and as you can see... And I think this is a really good, like, zero-G combat also, by the way. I think this is, like, really fun the way that they portray zero-G combat between the mobile suits like this.
I won't let you! There! Not gonna!
Fuck. Oh, come on, how are you alive after that?
What?
There we go.
Left?
Ah, they've been shotted. Char!
We're almost there.
My boyfriend Char is shooting me. Fuck you.
Damn you!
Damn it, Char.
Do it!
Beautiful, beautiful man.
What?
My shield. No, my shield. Son of a bitch.
Behind.
Fuck. Yeah, this gameplay, goddamn it. Wow.
Damn you!
This gameplay style, I think, like,
We're almost there.
is along the lines of what Battle Operations 2 was like going for. Come on, just die already!
Mission
Oh,
over.
close. Very close.
Please return.
I don't quite know what happened there, but... It's that same, like, slow, deliberate kind of gameplay of operating this giant mobile suit. New York!
Engaged in battle
Yeah, and
with
this is
enemy unit
straight
in the
up
city.
the episode where
Protect the
Garma
allied mobile suit
dies,
from attack.
etc.
You can do it.
So,
Be
when people
careful,
talk about this
Amuro.
game, they complain about the story mode not being
So
the
this is
anime,
war.
not being you playing as Amuro and going through the events of the anime. When A, it does do that, C, look, and B, those are the same complaints that I made as a kid, so whenever you hear people, like, talking about this game in a modern context, they are talking about it in the same intellectual capacity that I had as, like, a 12-year-old, which is always really funny. Oh yeah, I also felt that way, that fuck this game, it doesn't let you play as Amuro playing through the anime, when I was fucking 12 years old. You fucking clown!
Not gonna.
Yeah, fuck. But then also, yes it does, I'm doing it right now. You're a laid witness to it.
Almost there.
Ooh, this emulator sometimes. Sure! Yeah,
Mission
fuck.
over.
Man, that was fucking kicking ass on that one. I don't think we lost a single mobile suit. The only thing about this game is I do think the gameplay is
Please
very
return.
limited by the technology of its time. I didn't get hit once, holy fuck. Because you can see at the top of the screen,
Fighting with enemy units in the desert. Destroy enemy mobile suit units.
you can see at the top of the screen there's like kind of two
Amuro,
life
you can
bars.
do it.
There's the green on top and the red on the bottom. That's like the respawn allowance of the different mobile suits. So like when you kill one of the enemy's mobile suits, their life bar goes down. And then, you know, once they run out, they can no longer spawn in new mobile suits. And when your ally dies, the same thing happens. And when you die, you lose a shit ton more life on the life bar compared to the, like, NPC allies, because you're worth so much more. The goose! Ya boy, the goose! Rambo Rao. Rambo Rao's the goose.
Almost finished.
Fuck you. Another goose.
Mission
Ah,
complete.
yeah. Fucking back end shot. Oh, the gun tank here. And I think the maximum it can allow
Mission
on
over.
screen
Please
at any
return.
given, not on screen, but like on the field at any given time is 4 mobile suits. Because as you're noticing, it's my character, like a helper, forest in Eastern Europe. Yeah, it's my like
Under enemy
2
fire in the
DOMs, a
forest.
gun tank, and then the Gundam.
Repel enemy mobile suit units.
So I think it can only handle 4 mobile suits on screen, on the field at any given time. And because of that, there are times where when you kill all of the enemies on screen and you're just kind of sitting there waiting for them to respawn. My shield. You're just kind of sitting there waiting for them to respawn without anything to shoot because like only 4 can be on screen at on stage at a time.
We're in trouble.
Oh shit. Oh, this is different though because these are the Black Tri-Stars and they fight in a team of 3. Black Tri-Stars are different, baby. They're southern. Oh my god, they're kicking my ass! Ah, the Black Tri-Stars, no!
Behind. Mission failed.
Man, the Black Tri-Stars wrecked my anus. Yeah, I don't think it is a technical limitation. I think it's like a gameplay allowance. Maybe to facilitate the versus mode? But, like, generally, you're not gonna have, like, a huge sweeping battlefield of a shit ton of mobile suits. But that's fine, because in the show, it's not like there was, like, a a Dynasty Warriors fucking, like, battlefield of hundreds of units all shooting at each other. It generally was, like, maybe, like, 6 mobile suits fighting, like, a team of 3 and 3. But it does lead to the gameplay annoyance of sitting there waiting for an enemy unit to spawn in so that you can finish the mission. So that's the arcade mode. Arcade mode was just like you're sitting down at the arcade machine and going through linear stages. And then there's the campaign mode. And the campaign mode is really fucking interesting, because first you can choose to play as Earth or Zeon. And we're gonna do Zeon first, because it's the dopest shit, and there is no default name. You can't play as the characters from the show during the campaign mode.
A half-century has passed since Earth began moving its burgeoning population into gigantic, orbiting space colonies. A new home for mankind, where people are born and raised and die. It is the year 0079 of the Universal Century. The cluster of colonies furthest from the Earth, Side 3, proclaimed itself the Principality of Zeon and launched a war of independence against the Earth Federation. Initial fighting lasted over 1 month, and half the human population was lost. People were horrified by the atrocities that had been committed
Yeah,
in the name of
half the
independence.
human population. Good lord.
8 months had passed since the rebellion began. They were at a stalemate. With half of the population dead, both the Federation and Zeon had lost most of their military forces, and innocent youths were left to fight the war. Unable to gain a decisive victory in its initial battle, the Principality of Zeon lowered mobile suits to Earth to take control over mining territories to secure the vital natural resources for a long war ahead. The Federation's counteroffensive against these Zeon strongholds is about to begin.
Yeah, that is something that you really get the impression of in the show, is both sides are just crippled. Like, they're just fucked. Like, human civilization has been fucking cut off at the knees. Yeah, like, I think in the Earth Federation story mode, it's like you're an autonomous unit, go around and do fighting. And that's basically what happens in the story of the show. Like, White Base just eventually gets designated as like, yeah, keep going, keep doing what you're doing. And they're like, no, not keep doing what you're doing. It's not good. And HQ's like, yeah, it's not good here either, fucker. Fuck, where do you think it's good at? Ain't no good happening anywhere. Shut the fuck up. The cool thing about this story mode is, like, it starts before the anime takes place. So you're starting out as, like, a test pilot for the Zaku 1. Like, the initial mobile suit designed by Zeon. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Look at how long this mission's gonna take. Because I have to defeat 8 enemies, and they spawn in 1 at a fucking time. And I have to wait for them to spawn in after killing the last one. And again, doesn't this seem like a huge waste of resources to, like, use these mobile suits as, like, test fire training dummies? That's like hundreds of billions of dollars getting just thrown away as part of a training, as part of, like, a test pilot kind of thing. this takes a fucking while. But, like, the fucking Zaku 2, which is the thing Char fucking pilots, doesn't even exist yet at this point. When the game is, like, depicting. So, which means that the fucking Gundam definitely fucking doesn't exist. So, like, it takes place before and then leading up to the end of the fucking 1 year war, which is so interesting. And it can, like, cover events and activities that the main characters were not present for, because they were off doing main character things in Odessa and Jaburo and shit. So that's one of the main benefits of having the game where, having it be a game where you're not playing as the main characters. Ah, fuck. I can't believe you've done this. Although that being said, I am playing as Zeon right now. It's like, you wouldn't be playing as Amuro anyway, obviously. But I think like, it's better that they have the creative freedom to have you playing as a unit that's explicitly not the characters from the show. And, like, you're just another unit participating in the war effort. And it's, like, depicting these activities and events that took place before the show took place. Where this is what Zeon was doing. They were, like, using the mobile suits to attack. God damn it. Yeah, that's the, like, the gameplay limitation is there's no free aim. You're only gonna shoot at what you're locked onto. You can't finagle it around to, like, aim at something else. You can only move and shoot in a straight line relative to what you are locked onto, and that is it. Salamis, by the way. Or our ally was softening this guy up for us. And the missions are a little, have a little bit of that, I don't want to say lazy design, but, like, not being, like, a designed encounter. What would you call it? Like, almost, roguelike syndrome, where the levels aren't really designed so much as it's just a map and then a bunch of units, your units and enemy units, thrown onto the map to get smashed against each other. There's not really, like, gameplay scenarios or like specialized objectives or anything like that. It's just you're on the map, they're on the map, shoot each other. I do think this was originally an arcade game, and they kind of, like, added shit to it for a home console release. So I think that's the reason why. New type rank A. Received a prototype Zaku 2 mobile suit. The big trade. So now we can pilot the Zaku 2, baby. The Zaku 2 just got developed, and now we got a prototype version of it. Like, you can almost chart out the timeline of any given mission in this game based on, like, what units you're given access to and what locations you're being sent on as part of the mission. God damn, this thing does so much more damage. Fly Mountain. Yeah, like, this is the real, just, like, limitation is because the aiming reticle is hard locked on what it's locked onto, and you can only shoot at what you're locked onto. The fact that, like, they are flying it in, like, serpentine away from me means you don't really have the capacity to lead your shots. So if they're moving sideways, you're always gonna miss, basically. Especially if they're a fast unit. But if you can, like, handle the fact that this is a very early PS2 game and deal with the fact that Japan didn't know what third-person cameras were for a long time, I think it controls really good, especially compared to, like, how I thought it controlled at the time. Fuck that. Here's a big moment. Inside Side 7, an allied unit that infiltrated Side 7 to scout the Federation's V project is under fire from a mobile suit type weapon. Rescue the allied unit. The enemy's battle strength is unknown. So we're literally jumping in to Side 7, which is where they're developing the Gundam. And that's the first episode of the show. I like how the Zaku one doesn't have any kind of melee weapon. Gun tank! Gun tank is so fucking powerful. God damn it. Don't be shooting me with your guns. Gun tank. Yeah! Run! Get away! Get away so the mission can be completed. Okay, now here's the big moment where when I replayed this game as an adult, I was like, oh my god, this game is fucking amazing. I don't remember it being this good, bruh. Here's the mission. Received a Zaku 1 mobile suit. It is no longer the mainstay of our force, but is still an active duty. The Zaku 2 is like the main dude now. Here we go. V Project Reconnaissance, difficulty hard. We have confirmed the purpose of the Federation's V Project is to develop mobile suits. Scout the V Project with allied unit and gather as much data as possible. If possible, destroy the new mobile suit. The specs of the enemy mobile suit are unknown, be careful. We're gonna drop in with our Zaku 2. And we get a cool little intro cutscene because this is a big, important level. God, the Zaku is such a cool fucking design. 2 Zakus dropping in. Shoot the gun tank. Let's just get this motherfucker out of the way. Get out of here, gun tank. We got shit. What do you got? You got nothing. That's what you got. Ah, fucker, you're dead. Okay, only one thing left to destroy on the field. What is it? Dun dun dun! It's the fucking Gundam! And it's laying on the thing! And we can't do anything with it yet. But wait, when the timer hits 40...
Amazing! It has 5 times more energy!
Amuro! And he just fucking one-shots Gene. And he's coming for me. No, Amuro. No, Amuro! Woo, I'm gonna die! Amuro! No! He just got fucking oh, he just got fucking wrecked by Amuro! Oh my god, it's so good! You literally play the first episode of the show from Zeon's perspective. You play as the guy that Amuro fucking kills. And that's not even like a fail state, because they don't expect you to complete that mission. All you have to do is survive until the clock runs out, but even if you die, they don't care. If you die during other missions, you have to redo it. It's like you failed, dumbass. Like, stop that. But if you fail that, it's like, whatever, you got killed by Amuro. Yeah, that's what happened. So, like, that was the moment where I was like, oh, this fucking game, dude. Holy shit. You literally play as the dudes that Amuro fucking kills in the first episode of the show. That is fucking hardcore. In contrast,
century has passed.
the Earth Federation campaign, and both of the campaigns run all the way up to, like, the end of the show. As an independent unit. Yeah, so, like, at this point in the war effort, first of all, we start out in Jaburo. And we've got to test pilot the GM. Which I think is a little timeline wonky. I don't... Like, for a long time, the Gundam, the gun tank, and the gun cannon are, like, the only fucking mobile suits that the Federation has access to. It is a massive deal that, like, oh my god, the Federation finally has mobile suits. But they gotta be able to have your rinky-dink, like, shithouse independent unit have a mobile suit to run around with. So they just gotta give you the GM early, way earlier in the timeline than it should exist. Just for the sake of you being able to play in a mobile suit. And I do kind of like the way they do it, because they give you the version of the GM that was in 8th MS Squad. Like, you get the 8th MS Squad version of the mobile suit, and then later on, after the Gundam has become an active, like, factor, then you get the GM that was in the actual show. That was in Mobile Suit Gundam. So I do, like, even in having to futz the timeline to give you a mobile suit early as the Earth Federation, they do still do it in an interesting and, like, lore-friendly way, where you're not even using the GM from the show, which was explicitly developed after the Gundam, based on the Gundam. And you have to run around in this fucking piece of shit, like, that's why I like the GM, because it's such a good, like, rinky-dink front lines, infantry, like, boots on the ground, mobile suit design. New York. And you're stuck with these GMs for a long time. You have to do, like, a bunch of missions with these GMs. And they're so slow and shitty. Like, look at how this thing moves. Look at how slow and lumbering it is. And look at how it has to shoot this, like, these normal bullets. It doesn't even have a side weapon. It doesn't have a secondary weapon. It's just you waving. What up to my G's? Like, you just have nothing going on with this fucking piece of shit GM. And you have to reload the gun. The Zaku's don't have to reload their guns. Get fucked. Come on, get... No. Ah. And look, even with, like, how they're flexing the timeline, this is still at the point in the war where the Zaku 2 is, like, the main unit of Zeon. So this campaign, like, the Fedi campaign, still takes place after when the Zeon campaign starts. Because the Zeon campaign starts with the Zaku 1, and then the Zaku 2 gets developed. Whereas in the Fedi campaign, you're running around in a GM, and Zaku 2s are already, like, the main deployed mobile suit for Zeon. Get out of the way, dumbass. Let me fire. And it really speaks to this, like, back in the PS2 days, when they made, like, anime tie-in games like this, you could tell that the people who made the game were fans of the show. You could tell that the people who made the PS2 game is a pre-production model of the Mobile Suit GM. That mission sucks. Yes, no. What? Like, I remember there was a Yu Yu Hakusho fighting game that took place during the Dark Tournament. Which, like, again, it was jank, it was clunky, it had a lot of problems, but you could tell the people who made it were fans of the show in how they designed the fights and encounters of that game. And it was, like, clunky and janky and unfair, almost, in a lot of ways of how it was designed. But, like, the reason they made it that way was to be, like, show accurate. Was to be accurate to the way the story progressed in the anime. And you just really don't get that with the way tie-in games are made now. You don't even really see tie-in games anymore. But I love when you play a game and you can tell the people who made it knew what they were doing. They were fans of the property they were making the game from. And they were, like, expressing their love and creativity for it in the way that they designed the encounters and the mechanics and, like, the progression of the game when you were playing it. Because they do such a good job of establishing this sense of, like, goddamn, the GM is a piece of shit, by forcing you to go on a bunch of missions with the GM in this early part of the game. You're stuck with the GM, and they make you spend a lot of time piloting it so that you're used to how it feels to control, and all the limitations that you have to deal with when controlling it. The Grand Canyon. I hate this fucking mission. I hate the escort missions are the worst ones. And this is a good example of, like, a mission where you end up just sitting around waiting for the enemies to spawn in. So here, the reason this mission sucks is because the Zakis are mostly not trying to fight you, they're trying to kill these tanks. So you have to protect the tanks, but because of, like, the priorities of the AI, they're running away from you and towards the tanks. And because of that, and because of the way the aiming works in this game, where you're focused and laser locked onto them, and will only shoot at where, you know, the targeting reticle is positioned. God damn it. Oh no. Ah! No! And you can't lead your shots, then you'll just end up missing a fucking lot because you can't lead your fucking shots in this game. The automated, like, camera will shoot at where he is and not where he's going to be. The Space Invaders problem. The Zeon really are Space Invaders, too. So having missions like this where they're trying to kill something that you need to protect, and because of that they're moving away from you and towards it, usually at a sideways angle, that means you end up missing a fucking lot. And then look, I'm just sitting here waiting for them to spawn in. When are they gonna spawn in so that I can continue with the mission and do the level? See, look at this shit. Stop fucking... Aim where they're... Lead your shots! The lack of the ability to lead your shots is really fucking aggravating. And that's not a limitation that's, like, intentional. That's... Japan didn't know how to work third-person cameras for a long fucking time. That's why fucking Resident Evil 4 had the over-the-shoulder cam. because they still couldn't handle third-person cameras. So here's a fucking amazing moment. Defend the V project. So you're going in and helping out the gun tank. The gun tank? The gun cannon. The gun tank, yeah, I think it's... And I believe it's right after this that, like, the big cool moment kicks off. I don't think it needs help. I think the gun... I think it took off half their fucking health in one shot. I think they're fine. Did you see that shit? One hit and the gun tank took it down to half health. I think the gun tank got this. Yep, see, I'm waiting for them to spawn in. That's the only downside. Is the limitations of the PS2 technology. But again, even that, like, is lore appropriate to the show. Because in the show, it would just be Amuro and the Gundam, Kai in the gun cannon, hey, and Hayato in the gun tank. And then, like, the most that the Zeon would ever deploy in it were squads of 3, with Char and his 2 backup dancers, or, like, the Black Tri-Stars and shit like that. So having a maximum of, like, 2 or 3 per side running around during a battle makes sense, because that's what you see in the show. It's just like a sign of the era and the time that this game was made, that you end up having the frustration of sitting around waiting for units to spawn in. Yes, I think this is the moment where it's like, fuck it, go ahead and do the thing. Oh no, it's after this, I believe. But yeah, it is still a fun moment where it's like, oh, are you sick of that gun, that GM yet? Here, go ahead and pilot the gun tank or the gun cannon. And this is the mission that made me realize how fucking badass the gun tank is. Because the firepower it has is utterly fucking ridiculous. Look at how far that range is. Look at how much damage it did. Utterly fucking ridiculous. Its downside is it's a weapon to surpass Metal Gear, but it doesn't have legs. It's a tank. But that range, oh, it's obscene. That range and that damage. Look at what a goofy fucking design it is, too. Oh no, the building. Ow! Oh yeah, it doesn't have any melee. Look at this fucking thing. Get fucked from way over there. I didn't realize you could alternatively pilot the gun cannon instead. You could choose either the gun tank or the gun cannon. And then I think it's this next one which just goes, fuck it. No, it's not. Okay. Here's a couple more normal-ass fucking missions. Where you're still running... Oh, did you have fun test piloting the cool little unique weapons of the gun tank and the gun cannon or whatever? Yeah, you had fun with that? Okay, fuck you. Go back to Go back to running around in the GM. Look at how slow and shitty it is. They need to remind you of how bad the GM is. And it's just a 2-minute long mission of like, fuck it, just dick around in the GM for 2 minutes. Kill stuff if you feel like it. I don't care. me and the homie over here. Oh yeah, see, like a third one's coming. So I think the most it can do is like 6 on like 3 per side. That's the sense I'm getting anyway. Me and the boys. Me and the boys looking for bees. Ah, fuck it. Why did they only say? I think this is just Zeon's way of getting rid of a bunch of Zaku ones they don't care about anymore. But yeah, like, compare this to, like, the fucking Code Fairy, which, I mean, given they don't really have the resources to do, like, a big, dumb anime cutscene story mode thing. But, like, this is just so much more respectful to what Mobile Suit Gundam was, even in how much more limited it is in its presentation. Like, Code Fairy had a couple of cool moments where it's like, oh look, White Base just landed on Earth. Oh look, Garma just died. To tie into the show. But then it has, you know, these 15-year-old fucking schoolgirls piloting Zaku's being like, oh, I hope these good times last forever. It's like, yeah, we're totally brushing over the fact that these literal children women, these literal little girls, are just murdering fucking, like, enemy soldiers in the thick of combat. They, like, it's just, they're fighting stormtroopers. They're not, there's no human element to the units that you're fighting in the missions of those games. It's just so bad. Like, I kept playing Code Fairy, and it doesn't get any better. It's still just as fucking bad as I knew it to be. Oh god. It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth it, I swear. This mission's a fucking pain in the ass. It's another timed mission, but it's a timed mission where
This is the Medea Supply Corps.
Yeah, it's the girl.
Under pursuit by the enemy. Request reinforcements.
So it's another mission where you have to, like, it's another escort mission. So it's another mission where you have to shoot and miss because you can't lead your fucking shots. Look at this. Look at this. It's just stupid. At that point, it's just retarded. Stop. So you have, the mission ends when 6 of the things that you're escorting safely leave the mission map. And if they get, and you have a maximum of 3 before you fail. 3 can get shot down before you fail. So it's the same problem again where you have these enemy AI units which are not aiming at you. They're aiming at something else, which means that they're walking away from you, which means you're going to miss. And not only do you have to wait for them to spawn in, now you also have to wait for your allies to spawn in, and wait for them to slowly move across the map. So I'm waiting on 2 fronts here. And they're really fucking fragile. The ally units are really fucking fragile. See, look, I physically can't hit him. There's no earthly fucking way I would have been able to hit him. Absolutely not! If he's moving at, like, an angle away from me, it's literally just not possible to actually fucking hit them. If they're coming dead on, you can. If they're standing still, you can. If they're moving to the side, it's literally just not gonna happen. Look at that. It's not physically happening. Because you can't leave... Fucking piece of shit! So not only is that one more unit that like, one closer to a fail state, but now that's one more transport that I have to fucking wait for in order to, like, have the mission be over. So this mission blows ass. Please die. Do not. Do not! Absolutely no, please. And I'm saying please. Whew. Please fucking die. No! Ah, I hate you! Zeon scum! There we go. Yeah, it's crazy how playing this, an old, clunky PS2 game, with so many fucking problems, and such, like, dated, like, I hate that term, dated, like, fucking, yeah, something that came out yesterday is fucking dated, you fucking idiot. But, like, controls that are such, like, of a more primitive era of game design. I would kindly invite you to fuck off in every way that you know how. Look at that. Moving at a slight angle away from me. And it's literally not... Fuck! And it's literally just not even possible for me to touch on. Shoot at me and not them, please. Thank you. Stop shooting at... No! I can't hit him! Come on! Just go! Just get the fuck out! Just get out! Ah, oh, God, this mission's a pain in the ass. With, like, game design that's, like, so hard to go fucking back to.
This is the Medea Supply Corps. Now, to finalize resupply and repairs to mobile suit, I've come nothing at all to do with Jaburo. The command structure is falling apart. Good luck.
Here's the moment where the game's like, okay, you sick of that fucking GM? Secret testing of all-purpose GM. Launch with Standby Gundam. So this is the part where the game's like, yeah, here you go, buddy. You get to play as the Gundam for a mission. Just as like a test, just as like a prototype test pilot kind of thing. But even still, immediately you start playing, after playing all those missions with the GM, you start running around with the Gundam, and it's like night and fucking day. The way it controls is amazing. Look at how fast it is in comparison. You feel the difference in how the Gundam is just like a beast of devastation compared to the fucking GM. And the amount of enemies you have to defeat is like 20, and it's one at a time, and you have to wait for them to spawn in, which is annoying as fuck. But it's literally just like a playground of letting you get to cut loose and enjoy piloting the fucking Gundam of all things, after being stuck in the GM for like 10 missions. And it's such a cool piece of game design that, like, it really feels cathartic to just get to wreck these fucking Zakus in the Gundam, which controls so tangibly different compared to the GM. You just get to wreck shop with it. It's such a fun It's such a fun little, like, bit of, here you go. And then later on, as you're going through the Federation campaign, you start going on missions that are locations from the show, and then Amuro will show up in the Gundam and help you out. Like, Amuro will be an NPC in the mission, taking part in the battle, killing the same units you're shooting at. And it's really fucking nifty. It's so crazy how a game from the PS2, from 20 years ago, can, like, just fill me with this sense of joy of getting to experience what it's like playing a fucking Gundam game. And fucking nothing that's being put on, like, the PS4 nowadays gives me that same feeling. Because it's all either just Gundam Breaker or fucking, what do you call it? Dynasty Warriors Gundam. Test the support mobile. We're playing this Ball, motherfucker. Yeah, ya boy. It's ya boy Ball. We're all about Ball. This is a Ball. In this household, we support Ball. Look how fucking stupid. Ball, baby. It's fucking Ball. Look at his little grabby arms, his little Rob the Robot-ass piece of shit. Oh, ya boy. It's so good. Yeah, I don't care. Shut up. Oh, no. I don't want to be in Ball anymore. Or you can be the test pilot of the mass production Mobile Suit GM. So, like, the real GM. And not the 8th MS Squad GM for once. Great Canyon. Seattle, baby! So, yeah. Like, the Gundam games getting produced now are, like... online multiplayer fucking arena matches. There's a new one coming out that's just Overwatch, but Gundam. And it's like, enough with the multiplayer, fucking online multiplayer games. Fuck Gundam versus 2v2 fucking Super Sentai fighting game. Fucking Gundam Breaker. Fucking battle operations. Like, This is what you'll want. You love to see it. Anyway. Oh yeah, I should show off before. I mentioned how, you know, you could input the name and you're playing as Amuro. And there's all this unique dialogue. Or, you can jump in the Gundam as Sayla! Ya girl Sayla! And run around with the oh wait, no. I want the hammer, baby!
Sayla 006 launching! Has infiltrated Side 7.
So yeah, if you enter a specific name of a character from the show, and it's like faction appropriate, they'll have unique cutscenes.
Launching. Roger.
So you're playing as Sayla instead of Amuro. Like, that's so fucking cool. Anyway.
Where's the enemy?
Where's the anime? So yeah. I miss this era of Gundam games. I don't like the current era of Gundam games. That's all.